Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Matthew Sweet.
Hello. Hello, thank you very much indeed. You know why we're here. I know why I'm here. 3 little words, and June Whitfield. That's the name that June gave to her memoirs, with typical diffidence and modesty, I think, because that makes her sound like a kind of addendum, like a kind of also-ran in some ways. But we know, even if she doesn't, that she is one of the most important actors in our lives, that she has been part of the culture that we swim through since the 50s. And we all know her from so many different places. And we have grown to love her, really, I think. Have you ever heard anybody say, "Oh, I don't like June Whitfield"? In fact, I actually think nobody in the history of the human race has ever spoken those words until I said them then, and I didn't mean them either. She has developed over the years, I think one of her greatest talents has been, certainly in her early years, to steer certain canonical comedians away from the rocks. That's something that many of them came to rely on her to do. But she's also been part of important double acts and partnerships herself. Terry Scott, famously, Julian Clary, not quite so famously, but still importantly, I think, and part of great ensemble casts too, like the Carry On films and Absolutely Fabulous. And she is somebody who I think we all trust her, don't we? I think we'd probably do anything that June Whitfield asked us to do. So we must be grateful that she has used her powers for good and not for evil, I think. Before we bring her onto the stage, let's see some of that fabulous work from the last decades.
A dishwasher? There's no point in them. I mean, I've got to stand up, go over to them, bend over, put things in, take them out, put them wherever they go. I mean, washing up's the easy part.
How would you know? They wouldn't give Nanette Newman anything too complicated to do.
Oh, you're still here?
Why shouldn't I be?
Well, it's just I'd rather you weren't in the bedroom when I'm doing my exercises.
I won't laugh, I promise.
It's not a question of laughing. I just happen to want solitude to concentrate my mind.
Oh, of course, darling. I understand you want to be alone with your stomach.
But I'm sorry to say I don't think it's getting any smaller.
Oh, don't you worry. Any day now, it's bound to yield fruit.
You may be right. Certainly looks as if you're in pod.
There you are, Poppet, to celebrate tomorrow when it's all over.
Oh, Megsy, you're a darling.
Anything else I can bring you?
Only yourself, sweetie. Every single day. How's my car?
Oh, not to worry, darling. I took it in for servicing, and it'll be all ready in time for our little trip. I've booked secluded little hotels all along our route. Separate rooms, of course.
Oh, just think of it. A whole week together in separate rooms. Oh, wacko.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's January outside in Bristol, but in here, it's June. Hello.
Thank you very much.
June, we're going to chat a little bit about your career in the
Yes.
next hour, so watch some clips. Could you see from the
Well,
back there?
it's sort of sideways on, a bit strange, but yeah, I got the gist. Yes. And I'd just say how delighted I am to be here and to thank you all very much for coming to listen to me waffling on about myself in
Now,
this gorgeous theatre, yes.
when you were starting out as an actor, or as a dancer even, this is something that you came to first, What sort of career did you imagine that you would have?
Well, I didn't really imagine a career. I just was lucky enough to, I went to RADA, you know, Dramatic Academy, and I came out and did 1 or 2 plays and things. Then I did musicals, then I did reviews, and I just sort of waffled on.
Just a great effect, right from the very beginning when you were on the radio.
Really?
The Glums.
Oh, the Glums. You remember the Glums? Fantastic writing, absolutely wonderful, from Muir and Norden. Absolutely wonderful. I just loved their sense of humour and their wonderful play with words. I give you a bit of Eth, but I think my voice has dropped an octave since I was doing that. And she'd say things like, "Oh, Ron, when are we ever going to get married? It's not right that 2 such hot-blooded people as us should be permanently engaged. Oh, beloved, you'll never know how much I yearn." I do, Eth, and it's not enough for both of us to live on.
What was it like sort of creating the world of that family? Because everybody had their own idea about what these figures looked like, didn't they?
Oh, yes, but it was terrifying when we did it once on television, because I had always seen Eth as tall and very thin with sort of long, straggly hair. And as I'm about knee-high to a grasshopper, it was a bit tricky to do it on television. And they said that, oh, come on.
Jimmy Edwards?
No. Dick Bentley was too old. And so Ronnie Barker played Ron, which he did beautifully. But I think, in a way, it would have been even funnier had it been Dick, you know, because he was looking a bit older, and that was fine. However, the powers that be have the final say.
Tell us a bit about Jimmy Edwards, because he was quite an extraordinary, eccentric character, wasn't
Oh, yes, he was... Jimmy really was the same off as he was on. And we had mutual friends in Sussex. And Biddy always had, on a Sunday, she collected strays. I mean, anybody could go in and have a drink or have lunch or whatever. And Jim was there one time, and there was a young man sitting outside, lovely sunny day, and Jim said, "Well, what do you do then?" And he said, "I'm a student." So Jim said, "How old are you?" And he said, 32 or something. So Jim said, "You're 32 and you've never done a day's work in your life, and I'm paying for it." So that was Jim.
Okay, well, let's take a look at our first batch of clips, which most of them come from the late 50s and the early 60s. So this will be a little trot down memory lane.
Surprise.
Can we have the first reel, please? Well, we can look at them on there, I think.
Oh.
Yes.
It's all right now for you to come in, love. Madge, this is my son Harold. Harold, this is Madge.
So you're Harold. Your father's told me so much about you. Haven't you, Albie?
Albie? That's you? That's what Madge calls me.
I could think of a more apt name.
Would you like to sit down, Madge?
I shouldn't bother, Dad. I expect she's been in dirtier places than this.
No, I don't think I have. You never told me you lived in a place like this, Albie, darling.
Oh, I don't live here. I live in the Savoy. When I'm up in town, that is. Well, what would you like to drink, sweetie?
You two lovebirds like me to leave the room?
No, son. We've got something to tell you. But let's celebrate first. Get her a drink, Harold.
Certainly.
I suppose you do have glasses in here.
Oh, yes, of course. Give her a glass, Harold.
Oh, does she want a glass? I was wondering if it's a bit dirty. It's getting only gin. I expect you're used to that, aren't you, Dean?
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Let's talk about Tony Hancock first.
Yes.
Because, you know, a man who you worked with a lot. And also quite kind of at moments in his life when he kind of might have needed a bit of a helping hand. I mean, famously, you're in The Blood Donor with him, which he was making shortly after his car accident, wasn't he? And I mean, tell us about what you had to do.
Well, Tony thought, I think he did go through the windscreen or something. He had quite a nasty accident. And he thought he couldn't learn his lines. So we had auto cue. And in those days, it was beside the camera. I mean, now you can look straight in the camera and talk, if you're not as short-sighted as I am. But then it was a long pole with a little thing there. So Tony's auto cue was there. So I was speaking to him, and he was speaking to me, not looking at me, which is very funny. Try it with each other, you know, as we might, you know.
Yes,
well,
okay.
well, yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm very pleased I have that, you know. And so that was one of the things. And I daren't look at mine because, being short-sighted, I might have misread it. And so I just thought I'd better plough on. But although one knew that it was funny, that funniest bit for me was Tony moving around reading all the things in the waiting room because he was terrified of giving blood. And the wartime mottos on the wall, and he was singing things like coughs and sneezes spread diseases, and then he'd go and sing Drink a Pint of Milk a Day, and there you sing, because he was so nervous. But so I enjoyed that.
Nervousness is interesting because I think of you, I mean, perhaps wrongly, as this rather cool, capable presence who often had to deal with leading men who were perhaps a little more anxious or a little more nervous. Hancock, Frankie Howard, perhaps too.
Well, I got on very well with both of them. I mean, I worked with so many comics, you know. Roy Hudd called me the comics tart. Thank you. But I enjoyed it. I suppose, in a way, it's lack of confidence or something, but I was always quite pleased that it wasn't my show, because, you know, the person at the top of the show is the one who takes all the flack and has to make sure the next show is as good or better than the one before, and so they get all the stress and strain, which is why, sadly, so many of them pop off the logs before they should, you know.
I suppose things are very different in the Carry On team because the weight is borne much more equally.
Oh, yes. Well, the Carry Ons had their nucleus, you know, Joan Sims, Hattie Jakes, and Kenneth Williams, Sid James, Peter Butterworth. You know, those were sort of in everything. And I was one of the occasionals. I did about 4 altogether. And so you're just there, do your job for the day or 2 days or whatever it is, and then that's it.
They gave you some lovely parts in those, didn't they?
Yes,
they
did.
The part of the kind of the crusading mayoress in Carry On Girls who wants to stop the beauty contest.
Yes,
from happening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And in Carry On Abroad, I think that's
Carry
your
On
favourite
Abroad,
one, isn't it?
I loved that. It was great fun, yes, because I often worked with Peter Butterworth, and in this we were married, and I was a rather cool character, and all the rest of them went off to a place called L's Bells, all in the car park at Pinewood, of course, paid me rather a lot of attention. And when Peter Butterworth came back, I turned from this cool, distant figure just waiting for him, lying on the bed. And he was so surprised, he leapt on the bed, and we went straight through the floor. And thank goodness it was one take, because I thought, oh, however long is it going to take to build the floor, put the bed back, you know. I thought we'd be here for days. But luckily we weren't. But it was all terrific fun.
And what about entering into something like Steptoe and Son, where you're there kind of as a visiting guest member of the cast?
Well, you know, they're always very nice anywhere you go. I mean, I did a Coronation Street, and they were all absolutely delightful. If you, as I say, if you know your lines and don't bump into the furniture, you're halfway there.
That wasn't... Harry H. Corbett didn't take that approach, though, did
No,
he?
he didn't. No, he was a method actor. And I admired him for it, but I didn't really understand it, especially with television. I thought, but there isn't time to do all that. I mean, when I played the tart in Steptoe, I didn't do a lot of research.
How well do you remember that episode? I mean, watching these clips.
Oh,
of
I remember
yourself,
that very well, and I remember at the end of that, and the old man says we're engaged, and you can imagine his reaction, Harry's reaction to it. And I went up to him and said, oh, don't be like that, sonny boy. And I pinched his cheek. I said, remember, I'm going to be your mummy. Which didn't go down very well.
Indeed. We're going to move on a decade now, further down the time tunnel to the 70s. So if we could have the next lot of clips, please.
And so one thing led to another. We had the most dreadful argument. I stormed out of the house and said I wouldn't be home for dinner.
Oh, you poor darling.
Cheer up, old boy. We all have these little tiffs.
You and Joyce don't. You're always kind and affectionate to each other.
Well, I suppose we're just lucky, aren't we, darling?
I certainly am, my pet.
I wish Dorian and I were as happy as you two. Everyone envies you. No wonder the crowd come here. Your marvellous marriage is a wonderful example to us all.
Oh, Reggie, when you say things like that, you make me want to cry.
Oh, there, darling. Look here, Reggie. I'm going to give you some advice. Go home, fling your arms around her, and tell her you love her.
He's right, you know, Reggie. We women need a little tenderness.
You're right. I'll do it. I've been a swine. Thank you. Thank you both. You know, I think you two are absolutely super.
You two-faced old bag.
You rotten, lying little stinker.
We women need a little tenderness. I'd like to tenderize you with a bung starter.
Listen, loathsome. You lay one grubby little finger on me and I shall be straight on the phone to my brother.
Your brother? I didn't know they had phones in fairyland.
Pig. Anyway, your family's nothing to boast about, unless, of course, you happen to collect shrunken heads.
Oh. That's rich coming from a woman whose sister had to get married with a sack over her head.
Fantastic.
Oh, God.
What memories does that stir?
Well, do you know that Goody one? I'd really forgotten a lot about that. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
You're channeling Dinah Dawes in Turn the Key Softly there, I think.
Pardon?
You're channeling Dinah Dawes in that one, in Turn the Key
Oh,
Softly.
really? Oh, really? Oh, good.
It looked a lot of fun, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, tremendous fun. They all were fun. I think there was a lot more fun in television in those days than there is now.
Is that because, did it feel like being part of a big rep company? Because we see the same faces over and over again.
Yes.
Everybody pops up in everybody's show, don't they?
Well, I suppose that's because directors and producers get a bit lazy and they use people they know. I think that's the way that happens.
But maybe they were using people liked. as well, or people who they thought they were good too?
Well, people who haven't been chucked out, I suppose, yes.
What about Dick Emery? What
Oh,
sticks
I
in your
love
mind
Dick.
about him?
He was very naughty. He wanted to make you laugh, I mean, on the set. And he would do all kinds of, I don't know, little things to determine to make you laugh, you know, and I was pretty determined not to. So it was a little battle that went on. And I, once with Leslie Phillips, we were in a play, and we were both at stage, and Leslie said something to me, and as he said it, he shut one eye away from the audience. And that was to make me laugh. And I said something back to him, and I shut the other one. So that wasn't a great success.
I somehow suspect that you're quite good at keeping a straight face. Is this why these actors wanted to do this to you? Because you're a bit of a challenge as far as that sort of thing is concerned?
Well, I'm not bad. I think one thing that did make me laugh, and thank goodness the camera had gone, was in An Absolutely Fabulous, when Jennifer gave me the line, you know, with the femidons, they've forgotten to put the fingers in these gloves. And the audience reaction, it was a tremendous laugh. And that really very nearly got me, but luckily by the time I'd gone, it was back to Jennifer, so that was all right. But of course there are moments, yes.
All of the clips we just saw there would have been taped in front of a studio audience.
Yes, yes.
So what's that like? I mean, does that make it like being on in the West End, or is it a
Well,
very different
I never
sort of...
knew anything different, really. I mean, working with Arthur Askey and, you know, Black and White, we had an audience, and Arthur was, he was wonderful with television. He was very irreverent about it. And he annoyed the powers that be because, can I get up? Yes. We were in a sketch in the desert, Cleopatra and Antony, you know, and he kept rushing to the side of the desert and getting water thrown at him or something or other. And one time he went and he beckoned to the camera and over here, and then he said, "Isn't it funny, playmates, how the desert ends right here?"
Were there people who misbehaved and others who stuck to the script more? I mean, did you have troubles like that with co-stars?
No, I must admit they usually came back, or else they said, "Now it's your turn," which Frank would probably do.
Fluffs and things, like the ones I'm doing now, they're totally scripted. Like these are totally scripted.
Possibly they
weren't,
probably were to start with, but then I think he actually either had them written in, although writers have said that if they put the oohs and ahs in, Frank would say, no, I do that. And if they didn't put them in, he'd say, well, where are all the oohs and ahs? So, tricky.
But what was it like to do a kind of a two-handed scene with him?
Oh, it was fine. I did one when he was supposed to be looking for a wife or something, and various girls turned up. And I was a maniac, really. And, you know,
dating sketch, isn't it?
Well, yes. You know, kiss me, don't touch me. It was one of those. Oh, funny woman, all that went on. And in rehearsal, I was running my hand over his head. You see, I am very unobservant. I know I said I'm short-sighted, but I'm not that short-sighted. And I had no idea that he wore this rug on his head. So, but he was so sweet. He said, now, when you do that, I wonder if you could take me by the neck, by the shoulders instead. Yes, Frank, fine, I said, you know. But that was why, because I might have just swept it off his head.
And television history would have been very different.
Well, I think that was live.
Let's move forward a decade or so, and into the 80s. So let's have the next...
I might be able to remember something from that.
And when I got home tonight, I got out of the car and there was a new paper boy there. I said, if you got one from Medford, I'll have it now. And he handed it to me and he gave me a wink and said, mind how you go, Grandad. I mean, how could he think I was that old? I mean, I haven't got a grey hair in my head.
Well, no, but we both know why that is.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, you know.
No, I don't know.
You put that stuff on your hair.
Stuff? What stuff?
To stop you going grey.
June, I haven't gone grey because it just so happens some men take longer to go grey than others.
Especially when they rub stuff into their hair every morning.
I don't rub anything into my hair. Where did you get this idea that I was using stuff?
From the empty bottles I find down behind the dressing table.
What bottles?
Oh, little plastic ones with Spartan 200 and Gone Away Grey on the labels. The Waltham residence.
Oh, yes. Is this, Emily's parents' house?
This is the housekeeper speaking. And by the way, young lady, that is not how one addresses a person on the telephone. First one identifies oneself and then asks for the person with whom one wishes to speak.
This is Phoebe Buffet. I was wondering, please, if it's not too much trouble, please, might I speak with Miss Emily Waltham, please?
Miss Waltham is at the rehearsal dinner, and it is not polite to make fun of people. Goodbye.
No. I'll be nice, I swear. Could you just give me the number for where they are?
I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to divulge that information.
Okay, look, somebody is on their way to ruin the wedding, okay? And I have to warn somebody. All right, so if you don't give me that number, then I'm going to come over there and I'm going to kick your snooty ass all the way to New Glauconshire.
Through 3 decades there, didn't we?
Sorry?
We whizzed through 3 decades there in 3 clips, didn't we? Taking us from the 80s.
I suppose we did, yes,
more
yes,
recent times.
yes.
Now, Terry Scott is still a figure who you're absolutely associated with.
Of course, yes.
I mean, what did he become to you? Because I think a lot of people really thought you were married, didn't they?
Well, I first worked with him when he was doing Scott on various subjects every week. And in it, we did a domestic sketch. And from that came Happy Ever After, and then Terry and June. And as you say, people did think that we were married. Marvelous. You know, we get on like house on fire. There's nothing we wouldn't do for each other. I do nothing for her, and she does nothing for me.
But Terry and June did become, and still are, I think, represent archetypes, aren't they? When we think of the suburban couple,
Absolutely.
we think of them. I mean, did you meet a lot of real Terry and June?
Of course, yes, of course. And people who could, is the word empathise or whatever, with them because they can see it. Mind you, nowadays you get people who say, oh, we love Ab Fab. I've got an auntie who is just like that. And you think, surely not. But no, they were good times. We enjoyed working together. But certainly, I think I was in a garage, a stop, motorway, with my husband, and we were having a cup of tea or something. And some woman came up and said, oh, good to see you. How's your husband? And I said, well, I think he's all right, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, not that one, the real one. No answer to that.
It was such a long partnership, though, wasn't it? I suppose
we
that
did
was...
over 100 episodes of Happy Ever After and Terry and June, yes.
And Friends is one that you're making a guest appearance in there.
Very much so.
I love the fact that to show your Englishness there, they even gave you a wooden telephone, as though that was something... Were you actually physically present with the cast there?
Oh, yes, yes. But it did make me laugh a bit, because I think it was at Wembley, and we all met at the read-through, and then they all had dressing rooms. Outside each dressing room was a sort of minder, I suppose. I just couldn't think why. I mean, yes, there were masses of people queuing outside, but there was a stage doorman, and there were, you know, wouldn't have been able to get in, but each one had in case what? In case the rest of the cast attacked them or something? I just don't know.
I think at certain stages that could have been possible, actually.
Oh, really? Or each other?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. You see, on Terry and June, you didn't have security and
funnily
and
enough,
minders.
no. I don't think our queues were long enough.
And what about going into something like Green Grass as a...
Oh, lovely. I adored it. Great fun. Yes, because, again, it was a chance, you know, to do something different. I mean, June, in Terry and June, I suppose, was more me, although if I'd said the things to my husband that I said to Terry, I'd have been thrown out long ago, I think. But when I would say that in rehearsal, I can't say that to him. They said, of course you can, he's an idiot, you know.
It's fascinating. Watching these clips, we see, in a way, you know, at the beginning of your career, you know, we see you as the tart in Steptoe and Son, and then the matriarch characters begin to come.
And it was all wigs and glasses, and weren't there some terrible wigs?
What's the worst thing you've ever had to wear or have attached to you, then, do you think, over the years? What's the most kind of uncomfortable experience you've ever had?
Well, I suppose probably being the back end of a donkey with Terry, that might have been not favourite, but otherwise, no, I think I've...
They served you well, the wardrobe department.
Oh, yes, very well. Yeah. And also, it was such an excuse for me to hoard clothes, which I shouldn't do, except that once in a while I was able to turn out something that, you know, in the 80s, if it was for the 50s or something like that. But I think those times have gone, really.
So your wardrobe at home is like a kind of archive of your career.
It's ridiculous. Yes, it needs emptying.
Perhaps the nation should have it, I think, probably.
Steady on.
Okay, right. Well, let's look at some absolutely fabulous.
Okay.
Because this is where. Oh no, we're not actually.
No, we're
My
not
mistake.
there
No,
yet.
we're not. We're not doing that.
No.
We're not doing that. We're now going to look at some material that isn't comedy. We're going to look at those shows which are put your serious faces on. You're going to see some. You're going to see some. The legitimate dramatic actress here. Let's have the next clip, please.
Oh my God.
Don't you make a fool of yourself over her, Jude. Marrying that woman Arabella was the worst thing you ever did, until now.
Don't say that.
Your parents couldn't live together, and nor could Sue's. They made each other's lives a living hell, and left the two of you as good as orphans.
We're a different generation.
With the same curse over your heads. The Follies are not meant for marrying.
That's an old wives' tale.
Since when did you stop believing in them?
Did we do it? Yeah. Is that him? Tall and thin, big brown coat.
The silver cloak. It worked, because Wilf phoned Nettie, who phoned June. And her sister lives opposite Broadfield, and she saw the police box. And her neighbour saw this man heading east.
Wilfred, have you told them who I am? You promised me.
No, I just said you were a doctor, that's all. And might I say, sir, it is an honour to see you again.
Oh, but you never said he was a looker. He's gorgeous. Take a photo.
Not bad, eh? Me next.
I'm Minnie. Minnie the Menace. It's a long time since I had a photo with a handsome man.
Just get off him. Leave him alone, will you?
Oh, hush, you old misery. Come on, Doctor. Give us a smile. That's it.
Hold on. Did it flash?
No, there's a blue light. Try again.
One more fingers and thumbs.
I'm really kind of busy, you know.
Oh, it won't take a tick. Keep smiling.
Is that your hand, Minnie?
Good boy.
You goosed Doctor Who.
I know. Do you think it should be on my CV?
I think it should, yes.
I goosed Doctor Who.
What do you recall of it?
Oh, marvellous. I mean, you know, it's, as I said before, I mean, he was delightful. Bernard Cribbins was lovely. The crew were marvellous. They make you feel at home. And so, what more can you ask?
Where do your true instincts lie? Because we see there, you know, a lot of great material there. I know Doctor Who kind of is somewhere on the border between comedy and drama, isn't it? But some very serious things there. And yet we think of you as a comic actress, essentially, just simply because that's where the weight of your career has rested.
Absolutely. And, well, you know, I like working, and so I take what comes, really, and endeavour to do my best at it. I can't say, yes, I do have a preference. I love to be in something that makes people laugh, because I think, you know, I agree laughter is the best medicine. And so to be a part of something that creates laughter is wonderful.
But are there dramatic roles that you know, you might even have your eye on?
No.
There are the things you'd like to do?
No, I don't have my eye on anything. I just wait and see what happens.
Is that how it's always been for you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've never... Oh, yes. No, I did want to be Judy Garland. I've forgotten that. But I soon realised I wasn't going to be. So, but I think musicals I loved. I loved being in musicals, especially the one, Noel Coward's one, which was Ace of Clubs. And it was almost because of what was around it at the time. It was 1951. And it was Pat Kirkwood and Graham Payne, and I became very friendly with Graham, who was, of course, Coward's other half. And I went to parties at Noel Coward's house, Gerald Road, and to Goldenhurst, where Julian now lives, Julian Clary. And it was just a wonderful time. We used to go after the show, after Ace of Clubs, we'd go to the Café de Paris to see the acts that mainly came from America, like Liberace and Kay Thompson and the Williams brothers, and one of those was Andy, B. Lilly, and Noel Coward himself, and Hermione Gingold. You remember her? And she, you know, the Café de Paris has two lovely staircases, so the turn would stop at the top of the staircase, lights, take the bow, come downstairs. And Hermione Gingold appeared and took her bow and said, "Hush, hush, whisper, who dares? Old Mother Gingold is coming downstairs." Not a bad entrance.
And what kind of impression did Coward make on you?
Oh, fantastic. He could do everybody's job better than they could, including the actors, the musicians, the stagehands. He was so knowledgeable, and he was called the master, and you realise why.
Was there anything that you learned from him that you took on
masses,
elsewhere?
Absolutely, masses. I mean, you learn something from every job you do, really. And Coward was inspirational, definitely. I said to him one time, "Master, would it be all right if I wore a fringe in the show?" And he said, "Good idea. It'll serve to hide that vast expanse of forehead." You've got to laugh, haven't you?
I think it might be time to see some clips from Absolutely Fabulous now.
Right.
Could we have the next reel, please?
Well, I must be going. I'll see you later, maybe. Bye.
Now, the fascinating thing about that is that for so many of the things that you've done, you've been the woman in the cast, haven't you? In a largely a male-dominated cast.
Oh, yes.
But
yes.
here...
It's all women.
And does that make a difference? Or?
And it's all J's. You know, Jennifer, Joanna, Jane and June. It's the J show. You know. So,
But does that make a difference, acting with an all-female cast?
I suppose it makes a difference to the audience. I don't know. Being in it, it's another job and a very nice one, you know, but no, I can't say it makes that difference. It's still the story to be told, and, you know.
And this is a much-loved character, isn't it? I mean, loved by you as well as us.
What? Jennifer and Joe, I adore them. I love watching them in rehearsal. I thought they're just fantastic. And Joanna, I was so pleased that she got that award. Were you?
Yeah, that's a yes.
Good,
yes,
good,
yes,
good.
yes.
That's a yes. Because she really is remarkably talented, intelligent, knowledgeable, and she is absolutely the nicest person you could wish to meet. Could kill her.
But you were those things as well. I mean, didn't they?
Oh,
You're kind of the senior member of that cast. Did they ask your advice about things?
No.
No, really not.
I'm more likely to ask them.
Well, was it as much fun as it looks?
Oh, of course it is. It's tremendous fun. And again, you know, with the studio audience, they're just over the moon before it starts. And Jennifer just says something out of sight, and they shriek and scream and applaud, and, you know, it's wonderful.
Well, now, I don't know whether everybody knows this, but we are here with a special purpose this evening. This event sees the inauguration of the Slapstick Festival Comedy Legend Award. Now, most legends aren't real, are they? Like, you know, the Medusa and Odysseus, things like that. They didn't happen, but June, you are with us. You are here. You're a legend that we are lucky enough to have shared our lives with. And I think then it is the moment for me to hand over to my illustrious friends in the festival here, Dave Sproxton and Peter Lord of Aardman, and Chris Daniels, the man who brought us all here.
Oh, I'll applaud him.
Let's get you up here. Where are you?
They've gone.
They've gone.
They've gone. Never mind. Yeah. Got bored and gone. Yeah.
You're not seriously leaving me up here. We've got work to do here. We've got work to do. Shout if you're...
How about a question?
He's behind.
That's not him.
That's not him. Oh, he's here.
they're
Hello.
there.
Peter Lord, everybody. Yes.
Hello, dear. How lovely to see you.
Now.
And thank you. Look at it. Oh, I say, look at that.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for a wonderful, wonderful show. We enjoyed that so much. That was absolutely marvellous. You know. A treat to see the clips, a treat to hear you talking, and wonderful. So
I can't thank you enough and Aardman for suggesting to give me this. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
There was no competition, or no choice. No, I mean...
You mean they're all dead?
No, I mean that Slapstick, we love to celebrate comedy. Great comic performances. We love to celebrate British comedy, particularly. This year, happily, we're celebrating female comics as well. And as I say, there was no choice. For that amazing work that you've talked about, that we've all enjoyed, for being part of our lives, we're so proud to present you with the Aardman Slapstick Golden Morph Award.
Oh, look. You designed this, didn't you? Is that your design? Yes, of course. Oh, how lovely. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And Chris. Oh, Peter designed this.
Yeah. No, I think you should loiter here, don't you? You're in for it, yes. Oh, okay.
Yes, stay here. Stay here.
Now.
You do realise this is a gold morph. Wonderful. And it's there.
And there it is now.
Oh, there it is.
Now,
How
just before we draw
fantastic.
things to a close,
Yes.
June, we want to bring you some tributes to the people who couldn't be here this afternoon, who in just a moment will be appearing on this very screen. So
Should I sit
if
down
we sit
again?
down, yes, we can view those.
June, as I sit here in the job centre thinking about you and looking back on your CV and regretting the fact that you and I never got our double act together, I'm deprived. I must be one of the few people who hasn't worked with you. Your CV unscrolls over the years. Terry and June and AbFab, every comic in the business, wanted you, quite rightly, the absolute rock. So what can one say? Comedy legend indeed. And legend doesn't mean not real. You're the realest ever. The golden morph, dear. What haven't you done? I don't know if Strictly Come Dancing have approached you or those the truckers driving through ice, but it's bound to happen. Brace yourself. You've got 1 or 2 gaps in your CV to fill. The Queen is twitching nervously next year. You may be doing the address that afternoon. Oh, love, hope you're relaxing at the moment. I certainly am, just talking about you. Oh, goes all dreamy. Much love, June. Well deserved. They've had an attack of taste.
June, as someone of a certain age, as I am now of a certain age, but your age is perhaps a little more certain than mine. I'm not telling you, oh yeah, okay, 72 now. But I can promise you that there is one factor that has been there right the way through my life. And I think that's what happens as we get older. You look back and think, well, there's some things that have never changed in quality, never changed in what they give you, never changed in the fact they are something that, you know, makes life worth living, something like that. And of course, laughter is one of those things. And you are the embodiment of that, because the first comedy programme I was ever aware of was Take It From Here, don't go away. That fantastic line, was it? Every half an hour of laughter beckons, 30 minutes packed with seconds. Who wrote that? Very good. Ron and Eth, we all did the voices on the bus in the morning, and right through then to the Terry Scott years, as it were, which went on for ever and ever and ever, which I must admit, against my better wishes at first, because, not wishes, my taste normally would have been sitcom, I don't know, but you added, and it was you that added this little lurking surrealism there somewhere. It seems to me you've always had a sense of humour which has kept up with the times. You only made one mistake, you did the goodies, but there you are, you can't win 'em all.
June, I don't know why I'm sitting here talking to my ex-mother-in-law, but I suppose somebody's got to. Another award, comedy legend, quite right too, more letters after your name, brilliant. I first heard your name many, many years ago, more than I care to remember, on Take It From Here, with Jimmy Edwards. You were playing Eth in the Glums. Oh, run! I expect a lot of people say that, but it stuck with me all through those years, until eventually I found myself luckily working with you in The Rivals, Windsor Theatre Royal. You were playing Mrs. Malaprop, absolutely brilliant. I was playing Falkland, I was absolutely brilliant too, and it was no surprise when we went on a little tour. So that was terrific. And then later on, more years went by, we did a spin-off from Only Fools and Horses called The Green Green Grass, and you turned up and played Dora, Marlene's mum, and some terrific little scenes we had, sniping at each other. And that quality that you have, that sweetness with a little edge and a wonderful twinkle in the eye. I wish you'd stop twinkling. I mean, it really is not good enough. Anyway, you've carried on doing lots and lots of other stuff, and so this award is really well deserved. Congratulations. And thank you for listening to me.
June, it's Juliet, as if you didn't know. I want to congratulate you on this award. If there is anybody that deserves an award more, I'd like to know, because you are such a wonderful person to work with. You know, when I first heard that you were coming into the series, I was frightened out of my life. I thought, I can't act with June Whitfield. She's a star. And now here you are at the Slapstick Festival, receiving the Aardman Comedy Legend Award. I'm so proud to have been associated with you, and you're such a lovely person. Take care, and I hope we'll have that lunch one day. Lots of love, Juliet.
June, many congratulations for your award tonight. Many congratulations on a continuing, amazing career. Hope you have a great time. Lots of love. Bye.
Hello, June, darling. It's Dame Edna, but to you, of course, Edna, because June Whitfield and I are very, very old friends. We go back so far, don't we? And you were always such an adorable little student of mine. You were, June, and now you are a legend, officially. I don't feel so lonely because until now I was about the only theatrical or television legend that existed on the planet. And now I've got company. I used to love you, of course, for many years in Terry and June. Do you remember that? That was part of our lives. And more recently, of course, in Absolutely Fabulous, I only watched it for you, just between you and me. Don't tell the other girls, will you, June? And now you've joined, well, an illustrious company, and I'm so happy. I'm drinking your health. I'm a little corner of my lovely, luxurious home in Sydney, Australia. But I'm sending lots of love and vibes, and whenever I see you, June Whitfield, on television doing something extraordinary, I think to myself, I taught her that.
Dearest June, it's so lovely to talk to you through a camera instead of face to face. This brings you 1,000 congratulations on being what we always knew you were, a comedy legend. Ever since I first worked with you on stage, do you remember all those years ago, in An Ideal Husband? And then all your times as mother in Absolutely Fabulous, when the ghastly Patsy was so well tolerated by you. I have loved you and admired you, and we all hang on every word you say and every move you make. We are slaves of yours, June. Much love and 1,000 congratulations.
Oh, dear, oh dear. Thank you so much. Oh.
Now.
Thank you. No, it was lovely seeing Jo, because I phoned her a couple of days ago to congratulate her on her award. So there we are, you see. It's things coming round in circles here.
Now, as June basks in the light of the golden morph, there is about 10 minutes to throw questions open to you. So if you have a question for June, then do stick your hand in the air. Maybe we could have the yes, here come the house lights, and there is a mic if you need it, or perhaps you've just got a very big booming voice. oh heavens. Go, well, let's have you first, wherever you are. Have you ever had the offer from the palace to become a dame?
No.
Okay. If you did get that call, would you put the phone down, or would you smile gently to yourself? I'm paraphrasing.
I tried to make sure that it was from the palace in the first place. Not the Palace Theatre, you know. Well, of course, I'd be absolutely...
Okay, right, well...
No, well, I am, you know, an officer of the British Empire. No, I'm a commander, sorry. Officer was old but energetic. And commander is caught before expiry. So I don't know what a dame would be.
No. Let's have another one. Yes, gentleman in the middle here. Could we, if there is a mic, maybe we could get it. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yes.
Pass the pass.
Thank you. Galton and Simpson wrote so many fantastic things, including a song for you and Frankie Howard, I think. Was it? You did a song with Frankie Howard. Je t'aime.
Oh, a song.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
But
yes, yes.
Why do you think The Blood Donor stands out? Why is that one so famous? Is it because you were in it, or?
Nice of you to say so, but no. No, the record was amazing because I had a phone call from them and they said, you know the record Je t'aime? And I said, no. And so they said, oh, well, would you like to make a record with Frankie Howard? I said, yes. So I went along to the studio and they played me Je t'aime. So I said, I suppose I'm the heavy breathing. And they said yes, and so we did it. So that was how it came about. I had no idea of Je t'aime. And of course, it was banned by the BBC. Can you imagine? I know it was a long time ago, but I mean, you know, not the original was banned, and our version was banned. It's ridiculous.
You did your job too well, clearly.
Well,
let's have another one. Yes, at the side here. If we could get the mic over there. Oh dear. Oh no, look at that.
Hi, you've worked with so many comedy legends over the years. Is there anyone from any decade you wish you could have worked with?
I don't know. I've worked with so many. You know, a promotion thing for a company at one time. And after that, every time we meet, which we do quite often at the Oldie magazine and various things, and Barry has always gone on about this double act. And so I said I've been working on the tap dances, but, you know, we haven't got there yet. And you never know, one of these days. But I think Barry does quite well on his own, actually.
Yes. Is there anybody up there who I'm not seeing?
Oh, there are people right up there.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Whitfield, do you have any memories in your early days of working with Wilfred Pickles?
Of course.
Well known as an actor.
Of course I do. I did 2 pantomimes with Wilfred when I was Cinderella and he was Buttons. And then I did a play. Oh, golly, what was it called? Anyway, I did this play, and we did a very long tour. You know, we went everywhere, and it was just after the war, at the time when there were train journeys all over the place, and the only heating, do any of you remember, in a train, the heating was on the back of your legs. So you had burnt legs and frozen the rest of you. And, but it was, you know, it was fun in my youth. And Cinderella was done by Francis Laidler at Leeds and Bradford. And it started just before Christmas and went on until Easter, which is quite a long time. But it was all jolly fun, and we had a marvellous time. I was with a wonderful girl called Faye Lenore. We still exchange Christmas cards and things, and she lives in Edinburgh, and she still, I think, gives singing lessons. She had a lovely voice. I had a great job keeping up with her, or letting her do the high notes, you know. And we got on very well, and, you know, we still communicate, which is lovely, because that was in 1947 and 8, I think. So it's a long time ago. Before some of you were born. Not all of you, perhaps.
We've got time for one, possibly 2 more. Yes, on the front row here.
Can I ask how you enjoyed working with Roy Hunt?
I love working with Roy
Hunt.
And I'm sure, you know, he would have been here if he could. But because I loved working on the Hudlines, I did 16 years with that. I think I did 7 years with Take It From Here after Joy Nichols left. And it was tremendous fun. And he lives in Suffolk. now, so I don't see him as often as we used to, but he and Debbie I talk to quite often. And yes, I mean, I love working with Roy.
You did panto with him as well? Pantomime?
Yes, of course I did. That was when I got myself on the headlines, because we used to meet, you know, between the shows, because pantomime, matinee and evening. And Roy said, I'm getting a bit worried because there's another headlines series coming up, and Alison Steadman's got a film and she can't do it. And I said, oh dear. And he said, well, I mean, I've tried everybody. And I said, well, you haven't tried me. And he said, oh no, well, you see, you have to impersonate politicians and things like that. So I said, oh, I see. So that next show, when the fairy conducts the fight between Dick Whittington and whoever, and the fairy starts it. So the fairy enters and says, go to your corners. Oh, isn't this exciting? And when you hear the bell, you come out fighting. And Roy, from the other side of the stage, said, got the job. So that was my story of Roy. Yeah.
There was one on the row behind. Maybe we could get the mic down here if there is time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Have you ever done anything on stage or screen and at the end of it you thought, I'm not going to do that again?
Apart from this.
Well, maybe at the end of a show. You know, Noel Coward always said after about 3 weeks, he couldn't wait for the heavens to open and to get out of it, whatever it was, and however well it was doing. And I think I'm a bit like that, certainly now. You know, somebody said, would you do a play? And I'd say, you know, well, if it's for 3 weeks, yes, or 2 weeks, but not if it's a tour round, you know. Too old. But I've never really... No, I think I've thought probably at the end of every show or television or anything else, well, that's it then, I better look for another job. And then, fingers crossed, the phone rings, you know, so that's the way it's gone.
As I'm sure it will tomorrow and
all
the days to come too. We unfortunately have to bring things to a close here. So, June, thank you so much, and it's our job now to thank June Whitfield, comedy legend,
and thank you
for talking to us this afternoon. Thank you, June.
Thank you very much. I think I could go, don't you?